Okay, time to finish the Julian chapter. Unexpected. Sometimes people surprise you. Never in a million years would I have thought my mom would be the one to back down from anything, so I was completely shocked by what she had just said. I could tell Dad was too. He looked at Mom like he couldn't believe what she was saying. Grandmere wasn't the only one who didn't seem surprised. Grandmere was the only one who didn't seem surprised. Are you kidding me? Dad said to Mom. Mom shook her head slowly. Jules, we should end this. We should move on. Your mother's right. Dad raised his eyebrows. I knew he was mad, but trying not to show it. You're the one who got us on this warpath, Melissa. I know, she answered, taking her glasses off. Her eyes were really shiny. I know. And I thought it was the right thing to do at the time. I still don't think Mr. Tushman was right, the way he handled everything. But I'm ready to put this all behind us now, Jules. I think we should just let go and move forward. She shrugged. She looked at me. It was very big of Julian to reach out to that boy, Jules. It takes a lot of guts to do that. She looked back at Dad. We should be supportive. I am supportive, of course, said Dad, but this is such a complete about face, Melissa. I mean, he shook his head and rolled his eyes at the same time. Mom sighed. She didn't know what to say. Look here, said Grandmere. Whatever Melissa did, she did it because she wanted Julian to be happy. And that is all. C'est tout. And he's happy now. You can see it in his eyes. For the first time in a long time, your son looks completely happy. That's exactly right, said Mom, wiping a tear from her face. I felt kind of sorry for Mom at that moment. I could tell she felt bad about some of the things she had done. Dad, I said, please don't sue the school. I don't want that. Okay, Dad, please? Dad leaned back in his chair and made a soft whistle sound, like he was blowing out a candle in slow motion. Then he started clicking his tongue against the roof of his mouth. It was a long minute that he stayed like that. We just watched him. Finally, he sat back up in his chair and looked at us. He shrugged. Okay, he said, his palms up. I'll drop the lawsuit. We'll just walk away from the tuition money. Are you sure that's what you want, Melissa? Mom nodded. I'm sure. Grandmere sighed. Victory at last, she mumbled into her wine glass. Starting over. We went home a week later, but not before Grandmere took us to a very special place, the village she grew up in. It seemed amazing to me that she had never told Dad the whole Torteau story. The only thing he knew was that a family in Danvier had helped her during the war, but she had never told him any of the details. She had never told him that his own grandmother had died in a concentration camp. Maman, how come you never told me any of this? Dad asked her while we were driving in the car to her village. Oh, you know me, Jules, she answered. I do not like to dwell on the past. Life is ahead of us. If we spend too much time looking backwards, we can't see where we're going. Much of the village had changed. Too many bombs and grenades had been dropped. Most of the original houses had been destroyed in the war. Grandmere's school was gone. There was really nothing much to see, just Starbucks and shoe stores. But then we drove to Danvier, which is where Julian had lived. That village was intact. She took us to the barn where she had stayed for 2 years. The old farmer who lived there now let us walk around and take a look. Grandmere found her initials scrawled in a little nook in one of the horse stalls, which is where she would hide under piles of hay whenever the Nazis were nearby. Grandmere stood in the middle of the barn with one hand on her face as she looked around. She seemed so tiny there. How are you doing, Grandmere? I asked. Me? Ah, well, she said, smiling. She tilted her head. I lived. I remember thinking when I was staying here that the smell of horse manure would never leave my nostrils. But I lived, and Jules was born because I lived, and you were born. So what is the smell of horse manure against all that? Perfume and time make everything easier to bear. Now, there's one more place I want to visit. We drove about 10 minutes away to a tiny cemetery on the outskirts of the village. Grandmere took us directly to a tombstone at the edge of the graveyard. There is a small white ceramic plaque on the tombstone. It was in the shape of a heart, and it read, oh, this is a lot of French. I'll do my best. Ici reposant Vivian Baumier, né le 27th d'avril 1905, décédé le 21st de novembre 1985. Jean-Paul Baumier, né le 15th de mai 1901, décédé le 5th de juillet 1985. Mère et père de Julian Auguste Baumier, né le 10th de octobre 1930, tombé en juin 1944. Puisse-t-il toujours marcher le front haut dans les jardins de Dieu? I looked at Grandmere as she stood looking at the plaque. She kissed her fingers and then reached down to touch it. She was trembling. They treated me like their daughter, she said, tears rolling down her cheeks. She started sobbing. I took her hand and kissed it. Mom took Dad's hand. What does the plaque say? She asked softly. Dad cleared his throat. Here rests Vivienne Baumier, he translated softly, and Jean-Paul Baumier, mother and father of Julian Auguste Baumier, born October 10th, 1930, killed June 1944. May he walk forever tall in the garden of God. Did y'all notice that his middle name is Auguste, like August? New York. We got back to New York City a week before my new school was scheduled to start. It was nice being in my room again. My things were all the same, but I felt, I don't know, a little different. I can't explain it. I felt like I really was starting over. I'll help you unpack in a minute, said Mom, running off to the bathroom as soon as we stepped through the door. I'm good, I answered. I could hear Dad in the living room listening to our answering machine messages. I started unpacking my suitcase. Then I heard a familiar voice on the machine. I stopped what I was doing and walked into the living room. Dad looked up and paused the machine. Then he replayed the message for me to hear. It was Augie Pullman. Oh, hi, Julian, said the message. Yeah, so, I just wanted to tell you, I got your note, and, yeah, thanks for writing it. No need to call me back. I just wanted to say hey. We're good. Oh, and by the way, it wasn't me who told Tushman about the notes, just so you know. Or Jack or Summer. I really don't know how he found out. Not that it matters anyway. So, okay, anyway, I hope you like your new school. Good luck. Bye. Click. Dad looked at me to see how I would react. Wow, I said. I didn't expect that at all. Are you going to call him back? Asked Dad. I shook my head. Nah, I answered. I'm too chicken. Dad walked over to me and put his hand on my shoulder. I think you've proven that you're anything but chicken, he said. I'm proud of you, Julian. Very proud of you. He leaned over and hugged me. Tu marches toujours le front haut. I smiled. I hope so, Dad. I hope so. The end. So, I wanted to go back up and try to figure out what that last thing that his dad said to him was, because it was the same as, or close to the same as what was on the gravestone. So I think it says, the last thing that Julian's dad said to him was, I think you march forever standing tall. Something like that. So, okay, we finished all the wonder plus the extra wonder stuff. There's more to read if y'all want to keep exploring the wonder world, but this is all the main stuff. Finished the Julian chapter, and I don't know about y'all, but I think Julian was redeemed. I think he learned what he needed to learn, and hopefully he'll keep that with him for good. I think if you want, we could, as our final response, if you haven't written a new note to Julian yet, make sure to do that. That's important. And if you have, or if you would like to also do this, in addition, you could write to Augie about everything that happened throughout both books. And another thing that might be cool is if you wrote to Grandmere, Julian's grandmother, because I think she was kind of the hero of this last bit of the Julian chapter. Maybe thanking her for what she did for Julian and his family, and whatever y'all want to write. But that's it. We finished it. I think the next book coming next week is going to be one called The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. I've never read it, but it's supposed to be really good. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Have a good weekend.